went through your remarkable work, both in the Maryland House of Delegates as well as here in the U.S. House of Representatives. And in particular, I noted your great work on behalf of people who need strong voices like yours to speak up for them, the most vulnerable, and in particular the homeless and our veterans. And I won't repeat that. I think you know all the good work you've been doing, and we are so thankful to you for that. So it is my honor, and I will tell you that I went on ad nauseum. They would groan if I started over again. They would protest and they would march. So we don't want any demonstration. So instead of doing that, I would like to present you with the Bruce F. Vento Award from the National Law Center on Homelessness and Poverty for your extraordinary work, and in particular, your work on the Military Family Home Protection Act, as well as your work on behalf of all who are vulnerable in our country. I'm from Minnesota, but I'm really glad that the people in the 7th District of Maryland elect you every 2 years to be their voice here in Washington, because you speak for all of us with your work. So, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, come on now. Y'all can do better than that. Good evening. Much better. Thank you. Ms. Vento, I'm so glad to see you. As you know, I served with your husband. And for some reason, Ms. Vento, one of my lasting, and I came to his funeral, came up to Minnesota. And one of my lasting memories was at the National Convention. And he was standing by himself, and he seemed to be gasping for breath. For some reason, that picture just stays in my mind, because till his end, he was fighting the good fight and trying to make a difference in somebody's life. And I'm sure at that moment he knew that his time, that he was in the evening of his life. And although he may have been in the evening, he made it abundantly clear that we were running a relay. And then he handed it off that baton to people like me, who were a little younger, to make a difference. And so I just want you to know, I'm so glad to see you, and I thank you so much for sharing him with us. Thank you very much. Give her another hand. I'm not going to be very long tonight because I have to get back to Baltimore. One of the disadvantages of living near your district, amen, is people expect you to come before you go to work to meetings and breakfasts and say, oh, DC is only, an hour away. Everybody, we know better than that, don't we? And then they say, well, can you just stop back by after you vote? And then they got you busy all weekend. So, but I do have to get back. But I just want you to know that first of all, let me express my deep appreciation for this award. I cannot begin to tell you what these awards mean to me. And let me just try to tell you. They encourage me to keep doing what I'm doing. They encourage me to keep doing what I'm doing, because so often, in these fights that we have, sometimes we get tired. Come on now, don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. We get tired. And we ask ourselves sometimes, why are we doing the things that we're doing? But we also know that something is driving us to help those who are on the roadside of life who may have had a problem. And when I think about the homeless, I often think about the story of the Good Samaritan. I don't know how many of you all are familiar with that story. It is a powerful story. The man is on his way about minding his business, and he sees on the roadside someone who had been beaten and robbed. And the first thing that he did was he saw him. He saw him. Too often in our society we have moved to a point of an empathy deficit. Tweet that. And in the process, there are those who are around us who are suffering and going through difficult circumstances. And many of them have one foot, or had one foot in the unemployment line and the other one on a banana peel. Come on. I can relate. After spending 6 months in Johns Hopkins Hospital over the past year for something that was supposed to take 3 days, you get another vision of life and how easy it is for us to slip into darkness. So then we have the man, the Good Samaritan. He's coming along, and so number one, he sees him. But it doesn't stop there. Not only did he see him, but then he had compassion for him. A lot of times we see the poor, we see the person who was doing fine, but then had a major ailment, like I did. Going into bankruptcy. I didn't have to go into bankruptcy, but going into bankruptcy or whatever. And they have now slipped into homelessness. And not only have they lost a home, but can I say a little something?
Speak on it.
When they lose the home, they lose the hope. How am I going to get my children to school? How am I, what address are we going to use? How am I going to make sure that they're safe with all these people around them and they got to go in a shower where there are all these strangers and we don't know what they're up to? Come on now. So, number one, what did he do? Number two, he had compassion for him. Number three, he poured wine and vinegar, I think it was, into the wound. So he had some knowledge about medicine. May have been limited. Amen. But he had it. So he had that. But then and why am I talking about that? So many of you who are lawyers and so many of you who are working on behalf of the homeless, you've equipped yourselves with an education. You made yourselves aware of their plight. And although you may not have ever been homeless, there's something inside of you that pushed you to do all the things that you have done to get you to this point. And you know that every day you can look back and say, everything that happened to me, good, bad, and ugly in my life, up until this moment, prepared me for this moment. Oh, I said something just now. It prepared you for this moment. You are well equipped, just like the Good Samaritan. He brought something to the table. There's so many people. I remember one year, my wife, we were celebrating our anniversary, and I made sure that I didn't forget this anniversary, ladies. Oh, I wrote it everywhere. Well, I told my assistant, I said, tell me, remind me, don't let me forget. Wrote it in my car, everywhere. So, anniversary time came around, and I thought I was doing something big time, right? I said, baby, happy anniversary. He made up a song. I'm not gonna sing it, but I made up a song. And so at the end of the day, she said, well, where's my gift? In other words, she said, yeah, you love me, but give me some symbolic something to show the love for me. My point is that so many people are so busy, oh God, are seeing. They're so busy having compassion, and then they have talents, and they don't give the talents. Come on now. So can I tell you a little bit else about the Good Samaritan? Not only does the Good Samaritan bring the knowledge of medicine, the Good Samaritan then also had good credit. I mean, go and read the story, read it in the Bible. He had good credit. No, let me back up. He had a car. He had a nice donkey. You remember what he did? What did he do? He put the man who was hopeless and homeless on the donkey. So he had his own Escalade. He got him to the innkeeper, paid for him to stay in the inn. And then he said, I'll be back. Whatever his bill's gonna be, I'll pay it when I come back. So he had good credit. What am I saying? That you all who have been blessed have turned around to bless others. And I have come to give you the award. It's nice for you to give it to me, but I give it to you because you are the ones, so often like the homeless, who are unseen, unnoticed, unappreciated, and unemployed. Your names may never appear on the front page or the back page of the Washington Post. You may never get an award. Nobody may ever call your name to say, thank you for what you did for me. Because many of them will not know what you did for them. But I have come by here to tell you is that what you do is so important because you get it. And can I tell you something else? As I close. When I think about the Good Samaritan, through his aspirations, inspired others to do good. I'm talking about him now. My man. Yeah, I was so impressed. I'm talking about, I could be talking about Putin and all that. I'm talking about the Good Samaritan. I don't even know his name, but I know what he did. Amen. And so it is. I thank you for lifting me up. And the reason why this means so much to me, I know the feeling of being forgotten. I know the feeling of not having a home. I've been there. As a college student, financial aid, law student, financial aid came in late. I went back to my apartment, rushed, finally got my check, rushed to pay my rent. And on my way to the rental office, I noticed some things on the sidewalk that looked mighty familiar. And there was my leather coat, my Toshiba typewriter, and I had something else. I had all kinds of nice little things, but they were gone. And by the time I got turned around, they were gone. And I will never forget the feeling, never, ever, the feeling that I had nowhere to go, nothing to no place to sleep. And there were people that came along and helped me. And so it is that you are making a difference. And although you may get discouraged, and although you may see the homeless and just seem like they just keep marching towards you, you know, you help one and then there's another. You help another, there's another. And there's another, and there's another, and there's another. And you say, where's this going to end? But what you do is you cultivate your own garden wherever you are, and you make a difference for that person. And hopefully that person will eventually get straight and return and be treated in a holistic way so that they can come back to society and be a taxpayer and a contributor to their family and to their community. So, in the words of one of my favorite poets, Dr. Benjamin Mays, president of Morehouse College many years ago, he said, I only have a minute, 60 seconds in it, forced upon me. I did not choose it, but I know that I misuse it. Give account if I abuse it, suffer if I lose it. Only a tiny little minute. But eternity is in it. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for taking the minute that God has given to you to touch somebody else's life and be the Good Samaritan. And thank you so much. Thank you for recognizing what I do. But I want you to understand, for me, this is not about politics. For me, this is what I believe. There's a big difference. I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in trying to set a high moral standard. I believe in government being a helper so that people can get on their feet and become all that God meant for them to be. I believe in helping the walking wounded. And so many people say, I'm not wounded, you just keep on living. All of us will go through a period at some point where we will feel like the walking wounded. Somebody will die, God forbid. Somebody will disappoint you. You won't get the opportunity that you thought you should have gotten. You will feel like the walking wounded, and you will feel hopeless. So let me tell you something, as I close, let me tell you this, and listen to me carefully. You're doing what you're doing because it brings you joy. Did you hear what I said? It brings you joy. Am I right? Yes. It brings you joy. A lot of people go around and they complain about their jobs. But if they really love what they do, the job gives them opportunities to have joyful moments. Think about it. How many things, I remember when I was in the hospital, they would get, the physical therapists would be joyful about stuff I never imagined. I lift my arm, oh, Cummings, oh, hey, they run around, hey, did you see the congressman? He raised his arm. I mean, really, because I couldn't even eat. I could not do this. And everything, and you know what? It made me feel good. It became contagious, and I wanted to perform for them because they got so much joy out of it. So as you go through and you go through this whole thing that you're doing, trying to help people, always at the end of the day, stop and ask yourself, is this feeding my soul? Is this making a difference in my life? Do I feel better about what I am doing and who I am? If I were to die today, will I be able to say, did I touch the future? Did I put my handprints on the future and make it brighter for somebody? That's the question. It's not what you gain for yourself. You cannot wear 150 suits. Come on now, but maybe some people. I just deal with 7 days a week, I'm good. My point is, is that but what we give to people and other people to help them be lifted up is what really matters. And it is what we leave. And so, again, thank you and may God bless you.